LinkedIn has completely changed my life, even with less than 1,000 followers there. This may sound a bit dramatic, but it is true. And I realize that a lot of us have been on the fence about LinkedIn for a very long time. We've all been posting on other social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, God forbid, Facebook, and I bet some of you watching are even posting on YouTube. But there's one platform that's been around longer than any of the others, and we've always been aware of it. Most of us even have accounts there, and maybe even used it to find a job. But we never really thought about creating on it, because it just seems like a platform that is full of cringe business bro stuff. But honestly, my experience has been completely different. With barely 1,000 followers, LinkedIn has changed my creative careers in ways none of the other platforms could. And so in this video, I'm going to go exactly into how this all happened, so you can start showing up in a place where real opportunities find you. But before we do that, let me go make some coffee. All right, good morning. Let's get back to how LinkedIn has changed my life with less than 1,000 subscribers. Honestly, the last point really surprised me personally, and I could start with that, but it's going to make so much more sense at the end of it, promise. So just stick with me, because there's 5 main ways that it really has changed things for me. So the first big reason why I keep coming back to LinkedIn, why I open it, and why I keep using it both to consume and to create, is because it opens doors that I didn't even know existed. I think a great example for that is my conversation with Mel. I don't know if you've seen it, but she's building a tech startup that helps creators make more money. Super cool thing, but I don't think we would have found each other on any other platform other than LinkedIn. I don't think she would have ever discovered the YouTube channel, and I probably would not have heard of Gist until it's actually out there and creators are using it. And so just by me having this tagline of the European creator guy and talking about creator stuff, she discovered me, and we're now friends and maybe even potential business partners. And yeah, that's for me the perfect example. But there's so many other creator tech startups that I've been able to give feedback on. And I find that really valuable to me to clarify what are the needs for creators, talk about what we're passionate about, what could be helpful to us, and have conversations with cool people and see what people are working on that people really want to support creators. And just being able to have cool conversations with interesting people. I think that happens so much more on LinkedIn, for me at least, than really anywhere else. Like earlier this year, I had a call with Danny Desatnik, who is a partnership manager for Creator Camp and manages a few content creators. And so getting his perspective on the creator landscape where we are now was super, super interesting. And I don't think that call would have happened if I just messaged him on Instagram, right? The second way it has changed things for me is because there's less pressure. I think we all know how hard social media can be, of that instant gratification loop and the metrics and how important they are. And yeah, when I put out a video, I wanted to hit a certain amount of views and reach a certain amount of people and get comments from dozens of people. Because the platforms put the numbers front and center. Like, just look at Instagram, right? I'm just gonna open it up. Like, you see hearts, you see shares, and it's numbers. In contrast, when I go to LinkedIn, I see faces. I see who engaged with it, not how many people. And really, this might be the only platform where it's about the quality of the connections, not the quantity of connections. Because if I write 3 lines that resonate with the right person, this can open a door that I did not even know existed. And so for me, it has become so much easier to create on there. I mean, about a year ago, I had a chat with Lizzie Musa, and she posted daily at that point on LinkedIn. And I was just like, oh my God, how could you even do that? But now I'm at a point myself where I could easily post 3-4 times a day, because it can be as simple as writing 3 lines of text, of really distilling something down. It can be a carousel that I can also post on LinkedIn. It can be a longer summary of a chat I had, or a breakdown of a newsletter I just wrote. So it becomes really versatile for me to repurpose content, right? I can just share the intro of a video on LinkedIn and write a little bit about what the conversation is about, and maybe get people to watch the full conversation. So it's easier for me to repurpose, but there's also less pressure for me to hit any kind of numbers, not just because it puts the type of connection in the foreground, but also the metrics on LinkedIn are bad, and I like it. Yes, if you want to, you can look at analytics, but getting there is actually harder than you would expect. And the kind of information you get there is, to me, totally meaningless. YouTube is so good at showing you the data, and I want all that data. But it can also be hard to make sense of it, and it makes you chase those numbers over anything else. On LinkedIn, I'm just writing. I just show up there and share things. And if people see it, if people respond to it, cool. If not, I generally don't feel bad about it. And, creating a long form YouTube video takes a long time. The podcast conversations, I easily spend 3 or 4 days on it editing, and that's after 2 years of honing my process. I talked about it before, but the first episode of Orbit for creators took me a year to edit, so while as on LinkedIn, I have 5 minutes, I'm sitting on a train, or I'm waiting for a render to happen, and I write down a couple words, and they might resonate with people and make me show up in a consistent way, in a publicly visible way. And I think that's the most frequent response I get when I meet people in person that I either see for the first time or that I haven't seen in a while. They always come up to me like, oh my gosh, you're doing so much, you're doing so great. And I'm like, am I? And that usually just goes back to how frequently and how intentionally I've been showing up online. The third point is kind of interesting because it tacks into both of those elements of the doors you didn't know and it being less pressure to create there. Because out of all the platforms, on LinkedIn is actually a growth strategy to comment on other people's posts. Not create your own stuff, but just comment on other people's posts. Let that sink in. Somebody smart, somebody influential has put out a statement, and you can add your 2 cents to it, and that brings in people to your following, into your account, into what you do. Because not only when somebody comments on one of my posts does it show up in their people's feed, right? So what I put out there gets seen by a more diverse group of people, not just my own circle, but also me commenting on somebody else's post makes people aware of I exist. And because you show up with a face, with your name, and a tagline where most people put something really atrocious like growing SaaS business 10x, blah, 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 like just putting a full-on sales pitch there. This is a prime branding opportunity here and giving people a reason to click on your profile. And this might have been why Mel even discovered me. Maybe it wasn't one of my posts. Maybe it was because me commenting on somebody's post. And also goes back to, oh my gosh, you're doing so much, because people see me in multiple different kind of locations, right? My own posts, comments, and then maybe also a carousel or something. And that in turn also means that being active on somebody else's account is rewarded. So while it is really hard for people on YouTube to leave a comment, it is part of the game on LinkedIn. What you're supposed to do is add your 2 cents, add to the conversation, and maybe even repost it. And so that is really another aspect that really changed how I can show up. And, even if I don't have anything in particular to say, I can scroll down and add to a conversation that is happening right now and still be present online, even in the lowest form possible. And so now to the last point that I said really surprised me. I really didn't expect this to happen, but what LinkedIn did for me is really showed me the difference between me, my personal brand, who I am as a creator, versus the Orbit for Creators brand, the channel I'm building, the 100-year project that this potential media empire is. Because LinkedIn is the only place on the internet where I show up with my real full name as a human with an opinion. Everywhere else, it's a brand name. All of my YouTube channels have been brand names. Even my personal account on Instagram is no robot yet. I'm not using my name. But LinkedIn, you kind of have to. Finding the different voices between what Orbit is, what Orbit would say, the community-driven approach, and involving other people into this, versus my own personal brand and my own personal opinions. I feel like I can be way more opinionated and also change things much more frequently. And separating those two things has also made it much clearer what Orbit is, right? What is just my opinion and what is a collective expression of creator culture. Those can be two different things. And as a human, I think short term. I think of how am I going to survive tomorrow? As Orbit for Creators, I'm laying the foundations for a 100-year media empire. And so they act on very different scales. And it also showed me the power of personal branding, because really that tagline that I just spontaneously came up with, the European creator guy, is something that is super clear. People immediately understand what that means, and it resonates with the right people, and it puts me in a place that people respect, that where I can have conversations on eye level, regardless if my last post got 1,000 likes or 1 like. And full disclosure, none of my posts have gotten 1,000 likes yet. I don't know, if I hit 20, that's like outrageously crazy. So, whereas, you have a YouTube video with 20 views, it's like, crickets. That's like an utter abysmal failure. So discovering this difference between personal brand and brand has been like my crazy mind blown moment. And I don't think I would have seen this in any other context. I gotta pick up a skateboard in a minute, but I'll be back to wrap this whole thing up, okay? All right, check it out. Just got a new skateboard. It's used, cost me 20 bucks, but it's basically brand new. I think it's gonna be pretty good. All right, let's get back to the LinkedIn bit. Wrap it up. All right, so if you want to help me cross the 1,000 follower mark on LinkedIn, feel free to click that button, even though it's really not something I check. Again, LinkedIn is pretty good at burying the metrics somewhere where they're not very present. But it would be cool to hang out there and to have more bi-directional conversations. The YouTube comment section is a great place to have real feedback on a piece of content or see if it was worth talking about, right? Because the hurdle to leaving a YouTube comment apparently is so freaking high that it must be really helpful to people or really triggering to people that they do open the keyboard. I think that's really the last point I'm going to make. But a big difference between LinkedIn and YouTube is that YouTube is very much a lean back experience. You open it up on your phone, your computer, your TV, whatever, and you lean back to watch something. It is a very passive activity where you're also not really moving. You're not really out and about and watching something. At least that's true for me. Versus LinkedIn, it's a very active, lean in platform. Like I said, participation is being rewarded. So yeah, that's all just to say, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, please do, if you care for it. And if you still think LinkedIn is cringe, also totally fine. You don't have to be on every platform. You know, pick the ones that you actually enjoy being on. But to give you some guidance, if you do want to be active on LinkedIn and if you want to start being a creator on that platform, first of all, I want to say it's probably the most underrated platform right now that is actively seeking high quality content. The algorithm over there, like everywhere else, it's constantly changing, it's constantly developing. But the amount of people who are on that platform versus the amount of people who are actively contributing to that platform is very skewed towards one direction. Not a lot of people are actively posting on that platform. So if you want to stand out, it's probably a decent place to do so. So just give it a shot. I think my best advice to any platform is give yourself a limited time window to explore it. Maybe that's a week for you where you post every day. Maybe that's a month, maybe it's 90 days. Pick one time frame and stick to it and the cadence that you're going to be posting on it. I think daily is a little bit overkill to start with, but if you even write one post each week, you should see the effects of it pretty quickly, right? And like I said earlier, you can be as simple as repurposing some of your video content and adding your thoughts to it, some behind the scenes. You can shorten or get the essence from a newsletter and put it there. But you can also just treat it like Twitter and write 3-4 witty lines. I mean, there are some people out there who are just going full ham and just posting somewhere between meme and nonsense content, right? But like, it's still smart enough that it makes you think, but it mainly makes you laugh. So I think the best place to start there is with the written word. You can repurpose short form content. You can put, horizontal video on there, all fine. but I think leverage the platform for what it is really known for, and that is text. Text is really still the backbone, and that's also probably the only platform, let alone newsletter platform, Substack, Beehive, Kit, whatever, that is written based. LinkedIn is not a video-centric platform like TikTok, Twitter, like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So keep it easy for yourself. Write a few words once a week. Maybe pair it with a photo of you. They don't even have to be related. It's cool if they are, but make it as simple as possible for you to start. And more than anything, just scroll for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. See if there are any posts that you have an opinion on that you can add to, that you want to contribute to, and just write a comment. I think that's really the easiest way to see what a LinkedIn post is. Which ones do well, which ones are just like pass you by. And if you do want to get really, really, really into it and like the ins and outs, just look up Laura Acosta and Yasmin Olic, two creators that are just like preaching the ins and out of LinkedIn and what it can do for you, if you really want to get on the nitty gritty of it. But other than that, give yourself a dedicated time window. Comment on people's posts that you follow. Look at people who are relevant in your industry, and make it easy for yourself. Just show up once or twice a week, and that's going to be good. All right, that's it. That is my thoughts on LinkedIn. I hope you got something out of this. I hope this was somewhat insightful to you. It felt a little bit like a ramble to me, but if you do, leave a comment down below, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new to here. My name is Valentin. This channel is called Orbit for Creators, and it's all about the creator lifestyle, solo creators, and what success even means as a creator. Okay, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.